Welcome to the Split Screen Experience podcast featuring me, Andrew, and my co-host.
Harmon.
And this is episode 1. Thank you for tuning in. So let's give you some background. We are two longtime gamers and nerds who met during our freshman year at university who decided to start a podcast to talk about things we find interesting and enjoy, such as games, movies, and more. And as the show goes on, maybe from time to time and topic to topic, we may see some of our friends join us for the ride. But for our first episode, we'll try to keep things brief and we will kick that off with some thoughts for the future.
Yeah, so as Andrew said, we met in freshman year of college, not high school, college. But yeah, we want to keep things brief for this first episode, and from here on, we'll just kind of be winding it down from here. We just wanted to give a little sampler to see what we're about and what exactly you could expect from us going forward. As stated previously, we are just two good friends, and we're happy to talk about the things that we enjoy and what we're passionate about, and hopefully you guys will want to listen. So yeah, first off, we're going to start off with the Game of the Year award controversy, both the Game and Steam awards. So Andrew, as you know, Baldur's Gate won this year. How do you feel? Do you feel is deserved, or do you think another game was snubbed? We'll start off with that.
I'm gonna say right now, Baldur's Gate absolutely stands leagues and shoulders amongst most other titles this year. What it does for its genre has yet to even be seen, but I can only imagine where this takes RPG games for the next 10 to 15 years. I mean, this was a truly wonderful experience, and I'll admit, I haven't finished it just yet, unlike a certain someone here, but I'm actively working towards it and enjoyed the entire ride. But yeah, most people on the internet, or at least a decent amount of people on the internet, seem to disagree with that. They seem to think that Spider-Man was snubbed or Tears of the Kingdom was snubbed. And they got really mad about it because they said it was basically just a PS2 game, which is super insulting because not even remotely true. Any amount of looking at the game, you can tell very clearly it is a wonderful next-gen title.
Right, yeah. I just kind of want to pick off. Yeah, looking at the nominees, you have Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Being an Xbox only, I've only played Baldur's Gate 3, so I'm a bit biased. I've never played Alan Wake 1, so I never in turn played 2. And I never really got into the Resident Evil games. I know my cousin, who may or may not show up on an episode, he loves Resident Evil. Obviously Spider-Man, Insomniac is PlayStation exclusive, and I don't have a Switch to play Super Mario Bros. And Legend of Zelda. So I think Baldur's Gate was the clear winner just from gameplay that I've seen online from content creators. The whole like D&D experience can really be summed up in Baldur's Gate 3. There's another game that me and Andrew used to play called Solasta, which was kind of, I don't want to say the poor man's Baldur's Gate, but it essentially was, to where it was before Baldur's Gate was on Xbox. It was the only like D&D type of game we could play with friends. So while it was fun while it lasted, but I'm glad to see that Baldur's Gate 3 is now on Xbox.
Absolutely agree. I mean, yeah, Solasta, I don't want to downplay, what that team did because they're another small studio and I'm all for the small guys in gaming. I know that, but uh yeah, once Baldur's Gate came out, Solasta just doesn't matter anymore. And I hate saying that, but like systematically, graphically, pretty much every element of the gameplay experience is just done better. And I obviously understand it's a newer game. Obviously, it should be a little bit more technically impressive, but it's really something to look at. I mean, it's incredible. The attention to detail is just so vast. The smallest little things get remembered and brought up later, or you can kill a character and have them be revived and they understand that you killed them and they're like, why did you bring me back? Like that's a cool level of detail that you wouldn't see in most games like this.
Right. Okay. So changing gears a little bit, who on this list do you think shouldn't have been there, and who do you think should have replaced them? Because I think I have a game that I think should have been there, but I want to hear what you say first.
So I think we're definitely thinking the same game that should have been on the podium. I will say this now. I am a longtime Resident Evil fan. I stuck around even when six happened, and like I don't hate six. It's just they were trying something new, and it just didn't really pan out for most people's tastes. But I've been with the franchise since I was a kid. It's one of the first games I had on the PS2 was the old Resident Evil games, and so like I love them. Let me get that out of the way. However, um, I strongly feel that no remake, no matter how much of a from the ground up redesign it was, should ever be on the podium. It just to me that doesn't make sense. The best game of 2023 shouldn't have been a game that came out in what was it, 2009? I can't remember exactly what your RE4 was, but like it was a long time ago. And to have it be the best game that came out this year feels cheap. I don't know. To me, that's
2005 on Steam.
2005.
Yeah, that's what Steam says.
Gotcha. So yeah, 2005, and yeah, I don't know. I would have taken that one off the podium, and I think you can go ahead and say what you're going to put on there, and I would bet my hat that I'm going to agree with you.
I don't think we were gonna say the same game. I was gonna say Wulong Fallen Dynasty,
Oh, okay.
a game that got released back in February of 2023. I really enjoyed that Souls-like game. Even though I would give it a direct comparison to Sekiro, where parrying is really the only way you're going to be able to successfully navigate that game. And while I never played Sekiro, I know that's what parrying is your best friend. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story, although the dubbing for it is not the best, I will say. And I did play English dub just because I prefer things in English dub. If it really is that detrimental, I will switch to the original language. But for this case, I played in English. But I enjoyed the whole magic system. I enjoyed the weapons, where weapons were based off your magic. So if you were like an earth magic user, like bludgeoning weapons and big weapons were your go-to. But if you were air, then like dual wield like swords and like a bow staff was like my go-to. And
Right.
I had a lot of fun bonking people with the stick. You'll hear me say bonking people with the stick a lot because I like to do that in a lot of video games.
Anytime it presents an opportunity for it, you're on it. I know that.
It's funny because I'm like, oh, I just killed him with the stick.
Don't worry, Mom. I'm doing good things here. Putting in the good work, fighting the good fight.
All right, so what game were you thinking of then? I think I know a game, but what were you thinking of?
Yeah, I know we've talked, I don't want to say ad nauseum, but to a good length about a certain title this year that was the subject of much discussion, is probably the best way I can put it. Starfield, to me, should have been nominated, but not won. And I say that with the thought process of using the games that came out this year for that level of gameplay. If you take Ari out, that's probably the only other game that came out this year that wasn't already up on the roster, at least from what I pay attention to. Which I have my finger on the pulse of the gaming market pretty firmly, especially over the last couple of years where we've seen a definite downtrod of like quality games up until last year, which I think is again one of the best years we've had. But like if that spot was open, I think Starfield should have been on the podium but not won. Um, it's a fun game. It has its flaws. It has the things that I would have written differently if I was in charge of directing it, but I'm not. Um, and like again, the one thing I will always say with Bethesda, they need to abandon that engine. It's time. It did you well when it came out, and the couple first Band-Aid solutions to it, they were fine. Not every game can come out looking like Oblivion right now. Like not in this era. Not with the powerful hardware we have in the modern consoles and new PCs and all that. It doesn't make any sense. But
Right. Yeah.
I think it still should have gotten a nod.
Yeah. It was weird that like there was all this hype for it, and I know it kind of under delivered to what everyone wanted, or for at least what most people wanted. But to not even receive a nomination, though, I feel like was a big snub.
Yeah, absolutely. It's how do I want to put that? Like it's just the thought process of going, you know what's better than you? Again, an old game or and I don't want to like dunk on Nintendo too hard, but I'm gonna. Um I haven't played either of the games that are on the podium this year. I'm not a big Zelda fan, and I know that's like I'm about to be crucified for that one, but um I'm just not a big fan of them. I loved Majora's Mask as a kid, and then like none of the other games. So I just got into Breath of the Wild. I got into Breath of the Wild like a year ago because it was on sale, and I was like, oh, why not? And I do know that Tears of the Kingdom is effectively a DLC for that. With you can build vehicles, which like looks like a cool thing. Should have been a DLC, that kind of deal. And then Super Mario Wonder, even with it having some new quirky mechanics, it is still Mario, which I'm sorry, but like to me, that's nothing pushing gaming forward, which should be what Game of the Year kind of is. It's either pushing gaming forward or just incredibly awesome experiences. That's kind of where I qualify Game of the Year nods.
I think that's a good way to look at it. But changing gears here. So we talked about like games we deserve that we think deserve uh game of the year. What games that came out in this last year do you think shouldn't have received anything, or games that deserve to be called the worst of the year?
Oh, that's a good one. Because actually, like out of this year, I'm trying to think of how many bad games I've even played. Um, I know I'm like definitely forgetting like a couple glaring things that like as soon as we wrap recording, I'm sure you'll remind me and I'll be like, oh right, I forgot we even played that kind of deal. Um, yeah, I'm really trying to think that like, hmm. I mean, there's the in terms of like at the Steam Awards, where Red Dead got the vote for the best community support, um, which has to be a meme. There's no way anyone's actually like, you know what, the Red Dead updates have been really good in the last 5 years or whatever. To where GTA still actually gets like fairly substantial updates, and then Red Dead gets like nothing. They get discounts on food, that kind of an update, and so that in terms of that award, I don't think that's earned. But I'm trying to think, yeah, in terms of just raw games that I played that I did not enjoy, I can't really think of much.
I'm gonna say my game. And it comes as no shock because this company is either hot or cold. I'm gonna say Redfall.
Oh, right, that was this year. Yeah.
Uh listen, vampire hunting, cool in theory and in name, but you act out in game like how you do, it just kind of it's just bland and it just feels repetitive. All right, go to this area, kill all these vampires. All right, go to this area, save the next guy, go kill all the vampires. Like it feels very copy and paste. And I only played like an hour of it with friends, but I know if I didn't have those other two buddies that I played with, I would not have played the game at all.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I know that there was the whole thing where apparently it was Microsoft really telling them, no, this needs to be like a service game, which I'm not sure why anyone's trying to push for that anymore because like that I feel like that's the most volatile gaming market space right now is trying to be a service game. Whereas like in the last couple years we saw battle royales pop up and die within 3 months. Because we just were like that made money, we need more of them. We didn't need more of them, and so I know that kind of changed their direction over at Arcane a good amount. Yeah, it's a studio that I'm fairly hot or cold with as well. But like even just on the surface level, like the game is just ugly. Like, and I hate to be like that. Um, but like the models look really like last gen. I don't know. It seems like this was a bunch of repurposed assets from an older game that they kind of just gave that new, oh, we'll slightly update it, we'll smooth out some of the edges and bam, new model. And it just doesn't really fly in the year 2023.
I understand that. Feel that. But I think we kind of want to get away from like actually playing video games and talk about some video game adaptations into TVs and movies. So what game are you hoping to see in the future like that has a movie or a TV show done of it? And it doesn't even have to be this last year and gaming history. If you had to see a movie or a TV show of a game that you played 20 years ago, what game are you picking?
So I'm gonna throw two out because both these are confirmed to be happening, or at least they're in production at some level. One of them's been in development hell for some time now. First up, the one that's been in hell is BioShock. I am very excited for that to come out. I'm a little worried it is Netflix, and we know it's a coin flip what you're gonna get. You either get a really cool adaptation, or you get a little bit of a stinker, and it doesn't really feel like the thing you like, or um, even something just to enjoy on its own half the time. But I'm hopeful that turns out good. And then the other one that I know is happening now, they just confirmed it within the last couple months. They are making an Alan Wake TV show. I believe it's a TV show. Correct me if I'm wrong, internet, but I believe they're doing a TV show with AMC. I think they're the ones who are doing it, and that to me seems interesting. Uh, I think it's a perfect backdrop to do a bunch of cool stories with. We've had, this new entry into the series after 13 long years. It's this cool, dark, supernatural show or like story, and I think that really fits a show very well. Uh, but what about you? Is there anything that you're really holding out for that either already got announced or you're hoping for an announcement for?
So as we all know, Jack Black will be starring as Steve in the new Minecraft movie coming out. Uh, I don't know how that's gonna be, but I'm kind of excited to see how Jack Black is gonna be playing Steve because anything could happen with a Minecraft movie. You never know. But for something that hasn't been announced yet, I would have to say I would love to see like a live action Mass Effect or Dragon Age, like a BioWare project. I guess I'll just say a BioWare project. So Knights of the Old Republic, Dragon Age, Mass Effect. If I got to see like a movie with Commander Shepard, like the Inquisitor from Dragon Age Inquisition, and or Darth Revan. Like if I got to see a movie starring one of those three, or a TV show, I think I would be the happiest man in the world. Because I'm a big BioWare fanboy, and I will say Mass Effect Andromeda wasn't a bad game. But if I got to see like a story about Commander Shepard like before the events of Mass Effect 1, because he does have some story that is talked about, but we just hear about it. We don't really get to see it because it's this background story. You're supposed to know what this character did, and then you start the game. But I want to see a TV show on what the character did, and then the game starts. Or it doesn't even have to be on Commander Shepard. But great thing about Mass Effect is that there's so many interesting companions and characters that you could do a one-off season, or just do a series of seasons surrounding a character each season. And I think that would, if done correctly, I think that would be really good.
So I'm hearing a Rex solo movie here.
A Rex solo movie would be amazing.
Exactly.
I would also like to see like Garrus, the Turian that you see in all three games as your companion, and who I say is Commander Shepard's best friend. I would like to see like a TV series of his time, like from joining, like after the events of Mass Effect 1 to you finding him again in Mass Effect 2. Because there's like a large jump, and I know there's a comic out there that kind of tells what he has been doing, but to see it on the screen, I think would be better than just reading the comic about it.
Yeah, and if not showing up as like a show or something, at least having that as like a DLC somewhere, or feature it in the main game at some point. If Mass Effect ever gets off the back burner at BioWare, because yeah, and I know it's kind of on cryostasis after Andromeda, which the story wise, it was fine. I know some people were attacking the story. I think the story of Andromeda was fine. For me, the one criticism that felt valid was like visually and technically at times it did not feel like a new thing, like not extremely new. Like the faces of people in that game looked kind of off.
Yeah, the
Uh,
faces were not good.
yeah, it's like that, and that's when you spend so much time in cutscenes with like meaningful interactions with companions and other characters in the game. You spend a lot of time looking at faces and stuff, and a couple times I was sitting there like, this is just ugly. Like, there's just I don't know what fell through on that end. Because yeah, the storyline's fine. I know people like to compare it to the entire trilogy or Mass Effect 2 in particular, and that's not fair for the new game and a new trilogy, or a new continuation, whatever, to have that put on its shoulders after the series was already on hiatus for, or not, I don't want to say hiatus, but it was, it went without a game for how many years? How long was it between 3 and Andromeda?
I believe Andromeda came out in 2015. Let me find out real quick, just so I'm accurate.
Yeah. Because I was like, you're more likely to know that information than I am, but
2017, and I believe Mass Effect 3 came out in 2012. So
that sounds right.
it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
Like you had yeah, Mass Effect 3 came out in 2012. Like you had Dragon Age Inquisition, like in between. So it hasn't really been too long since A, but now we're at the point where um it's been since 2017 since we've had a BioWare title.
Gotcha.
So now we're
Yeah.
starting to getting into like a long time. And I know Dragon Age Shadow Wolf
Red Wolf.
or Dread Wolf, thank you. Is the next main title.
Which
And we're
who
supposed
knows
to
when that's happening?
oh, I was wrong. Yeah. I was wrong. Last game came out in 2019, and there's a reason why I forgot it. Because it was Anthem.
Oh, right. That is by that. Yeah, that was their like colossal failure. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what put their studio in like turmoil. I'm pretty sure.
because yeah, they stopped doing stuff with Andromeda and moved their team to go work on uh, Anthem, and oh boy, was that game something?
You had a cool premise with that, and like they do not. BioWare is one of the people I absolutely think cuts some of the best trailers for games. And like
Yeah,
you look at the Anthem trailers, like they're clean, and like I know it's cinematic mostly, whatever, but like they're still cool trailers. And like I was like, oh man, I can't wait to like pick my armor, or they called like the javelins or whatever, I think.
I believe so.
And I want to pick my javelin, and like me, I'll be like the more slender one, like I'm gonna be this like fast guy, whatever. And then like the game rolls out, and like no one plays it, no one cares because the game is boring, repetitive bull, and it's just bad. Like you had a cool system where like oh, you're in the suit that could just kind of take off and fly at will, but the maps don't let you because every zone is a load zone. You can't just freely fly around a planet. Like to me, that's what the game should have been. You know, the ability to freely explore this large world and do missions and have a story, not just defend the beacon for 5 seconds. That kind of gameplay, which hasn't been fun in decades.
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
completely blocked that on my memory.
Yeah, I completely forgot Anthem was a thing until 2 seconds ago.
I like the life we had 2 seconds ago.
Me too. So in
Yeah,
terms of gaming, do you think 2023 was a success, average, or a failure?
I have to say strongly, resounding success. I mean, I have my own biases, like again, I'm a longtime Alan Wake fan, so when the new one was coming out, I was like, okay, it's gonna be a good year, and like, but not even just that. It's like the other games. I mean, we had the Dead Space remake, and again, I don't want to praise remakes, but in this context, I will because it adds to the year's catalog and allows a new generation to kind of replay these games or play them for the first time, and then old people get to replay them again. But we had stuff like that. Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 is I mean, a critical success. It's one of the highest rated games on Metacritic right now. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's sitting at like a 96. which I think makes it the second highest rated game of all time. Let me pull that number real quick. Let me pull that real quick. Metacritic. Oh, they must have dropped it. That's weird. Because yeah, now it's not even in the top 25. That's something. But NFL 2K1 made the cut.
Of course, it's a sports game. Sports games
It's
are always going to make the cut.
yeah. I am happy to see that both Mario Galaxies though outscore Tears of the Kingdom. So I'll take that. I love the Mario Galaxy games. But
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I never played them, but I enjoyed watching my cousins play them. My cousins were big Mario fans.
So I found Baldur's Gate 2 sitting at number 34 of all time. So I can't find 3, which should be higher than it. I don't know. That's weird. It used to be in the top, like top 5 or something. But anyway, this could be a whole other podcast just going through this list because it's actually very interesting what's on here and what order.
Next week's episode. That will be the next week's episode. Stay tuned for that.
Write that down.
We'll talk about the Metacritic ratings and which ones you think are right, which ones you think are wrong, and what you would like to see changed.
We could do something like maybe I'll blindly pull some and then I'll quiz you on you can blindly rank in what order you think they're ranked and then see how it stacks up to the actual ranking.
Oh, I'm sure I'm going to get all of them wrong.
I can already.
No, I'm pretty bad when it comes to guessing at games, but I will definitely give that a try.
Right. But yeah,
going on to what I said earlier, I think I also am agreeing with 2023 was a success for gaming. This is the first real year outside of we've kind of gone back to pre-COVID times. And so studios are finally able to have full in-person teams, not people working from home where they could be limited and communications kind of all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely think that this year gaming was good. As you said, Baldur's Gate, we had Atomic Heart, Wo Long. I'm gonna throw Spider-Man up there because Spider-Man was still a good game. I just don't think it was Game of the Year worthy. We also had Mario game, Resident Evil 4 Remake. We had Wo Long. And a game that has come out kind of recently. And Andrew and I have been playing a good amount of the finals. I've really been enjoying the finals. Since Call of Duty has kind of underperformed in recent years. I like playing FPS shooters. But I feel like COD's just not it for me anymore. So being able to find that game in the finals, I've been able to play my short, quick games, occasionally with my buddies, mainly queuing up with some randoms, and still get that fast-paced action that I've been wanting to get.
And it has such a unique and fun gameplay loop. The one thing I hope they do add a couple more modes that are a little bit more varied. They are different, but there's only 2 right now. So hopefully, as the game progresses and more people find out about it, they will add a couple modes. Maybe some that the teams are bigger than 3. That's something I think would be really cool. Even if you just bumped up to 4, I think 4 is just a good number for most games. But
I can agree with that.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to play that game.
I can agree with that. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here. I want to say thank you if you've made it this far, listening to our podcast and our rants about these different video games and what we'd like to see as a video game adaptation. But yeah, next week I think we'll do that Metacritic review. So if you want to see that, be sure to stay tuned for the next episode. And I'm Harmon, along with...
I'm Andrew.
And we'll see you next time. Peace.
See you.